Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys don't know basically what happened, the city of Houston just froze over. I had to evacuate this apartment. We had to go with my father's and we had to go to my mother-in-law's. Shout out to them. Shout out to Houston. I hope everyone's doing okay in this freezing weather. Definitely weren't prepared for this. It never gets cold here. Not that it never gets cold, but it never freezes here. It never snows here. And for all those things to happen, I hope everyone is okay. To the people who suddenly who lost their lives, rest in peace. I hope you guys, I hope the family finds comfort. This was a rough time for Houston these past couple of days, but now we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to be back, and let's talk about one of the most exciting things I love to is free agency. Now, free agency is going to be very important for the Houston Texans this year, and here's why I say that. Number one, Deshaun Watson's not leaving. Let's get that clear out the gate. Let's just use some common fucking sense here, boys. No team is going to be able to afford Deshaun Watson, and that's just the truth. These type of trades does not happen in football. We saw it happen with Troy Aikman. We saw, I mean, if you want to go basketball, we saw it happen with Kobe. And the ownership of the Houston Texans have said Deshaun's not going anywhere. Deshaun is our quarterback, and if he wants to sit out, which I don't think he will ever do, we're prepared to let him sit out. We're prepared to let him waste the 5 years if he chooses to, and I love that. Now, how you do that is since you're not going to get a Deshaun Watson, then you better put the best team available around him. Now, the problem for this Houston Texans team isn't the offense. The offense is going to be spectacular wherever, whoever's going to be the OC or David Culley, who is the new head coach. Um, it just needs tuning. Maybe a guard here and there, maybe a free agency running back, maybe drafting a running back or drafting a wide receiver, maybe even a tight end. Who knows? But the real help is on the defense, and that's why today I have compiled a top 10 free agent list for the Houston Texans to go off there. This may be a longer video. I know you guys have been asking for longer videos, and here we are. So number 10, cornerback Jason Verrett, who last played for the San Francisco 49ers, was also with the San Diego Los Angeles Chargers. The dude, it does have injury issues. Before the season, kind of missed the 2 seasons prior before, played 13 games this season, finished the season actually healthy. 2 interceptions on the season, 7 pass breakups, 2 tackles for losses, was targeted 75 times and allowed only 50 and only allowed 1 touchdown. So the dude was very good. He is a very, very cheap option that can make an immediate impact in your secondary. Our secondary is an absolute atrocious. We don't know what we're doing with Lonnie Johnson. We have Philip Gaines, however, why. Vernon Hargreaves is not going to be here next season. Gary Conley has nerve damage in his ankle. And Bradley Roby just right now doesn't want to play for the Houston Texans. And now you add in a Jason Verrett, and this secondary group gets better. Now I'm comfortable throwing out Jason Verrett and Bradley Roby. I'm comfortable, the Lonnie and whoever else, John Reed, learning from Jason Verrett because he's a damn good corner. Was a Pro Bowler back in 2015. He can come to this Houston Texas team and make an immediate difference, and you probably won't even have to spend the bank on him. He's going to be a name that a lot of people want to bring in for cheap, and he's kind of a win now move. And the one thing about this whole list is this league is going to be a lot of defensive players. I do think the Houston Texans are defense away from seriously competing, and if you do get a couple of these names, then hey, all you got to do is make the playoffs, and anything happens. Number 9 on our list is our first and but not last offensive player, and that is wide receiver Corey Davis, who played for the Tennessee Titans. 984 yards on the season, 5 touchdowns, 6'3". Dude's an absolute monster. Dude was a number 5 overall pick a couple years ago. Hasn't lived up to the hype. A.J. Brown has now took over Tennessee as the new number 1 wide receiver. And, Corey Davis, if we happen to lose Will Fuller, I would love the fact to bring Corey Davis in and be that number 1/number 2 help. Can go get the deep ball, can get the 50-50 catches. Like I said, the dude's 6'3". He has crazy amount of speed, doesn't drop balls. I'm excited. He really broke out last year, something that he didn't really do in all his 4+ years at Tennessee. Can the Houston Texans bring Corey Davis? Can he get a great connection with Deshaun Watson? I absolutely think he can. I think Corey Davis will be a great, fantastic addition to the Houston Texans' offensive weaponry. A lot of people, he's very high up there. Some people do think he might take the next step. Only 26 years old. So who knows? I do want to spend a lot of the money on defense, but if you need to get an offensive weapon, I would love to bring Corey Davis. It's kind of a blow also against the Tennessee Titans, but I would love for him to come here and give him number 81 and, just see whatever I mean, or I'm sorry, not 81 because that's called how they're wearing. I mean, give him a great number and see what he could do. Now, number 8 is somebody I think the Houston Texans should definitely go after is Aldon Smith. Aldon Smith, 31 years old, didn't play the last 3 or 4 years because of suspensions. 5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 14 QB hits. And he is someone who I think if it wasn't for Alex Smith, should have won a comeback player of the year for doing what he did in Dallas. Primarily on the edge and the defensive inside. He is, he showed flashes of being a great type of player, disrupting the run game, disrupting the quarterback. Was only used 73% of the snaps on defense. I want to see that get into the high 80s, the 80s, the 90s, and he's cheap, man. He is absolute dirt cheap. You could bring him on for 1, 2 years and see what he could do. Because anything now is going to be better than what you had. Anybody you bring in now is going to be better than what you had. He fits that Lovey Smith 3-4 defense, that Tampa 2 zone defense, and I don't know how you don't take a chance on Aldon Smith. The Houston Texans have never been the type of people to take chances, but after what he did last season, and he's going to be damn good cheap, you have to bring in Aldon Smith and see what he could do for the Houston Texans. Now, number 7, I think the Houston Texans should definitely look at as well is defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, who last played for Cleveland. Only 4.5 sacks. He is mainly a run stopping defensive tackle. He's not the best. He's not the worst, but he is somebody that could be a middle of the pack defensive tackle, maybe even better depending on what Lovey Smith does with him, and he could plug this defense. This defense was letting people run up the middle as much as they wanted to. We were allowing almost 200 rush yards a game. Sheldon Rankins could come into the Houston Texans defense. He's 30 years old, so have Ross Blacklock learn from him and build this D line because this D line was atrocious last year. I could go back there and run it back and give you 5 yards a carry, give you 70 yards a game if I'm playing against the Houston Texans. And Sheldon Rankins, he's going to be another cheap option. I would love for the Houston Texans to pick him up. He is someone that could help really build the building blocks of this defense. Now number 6, and now from 6 on is where we're starting to get to the pricey free agents or some of the guys that you might have to take a chance on. Number 6 is Yannick Ngakoue with 25 years old, 8 sacks on the season, 7 tackles for loss. Did play for 2 teams, had 5 sacks with Minnesota, and then 3 sacks with Baltimore. The dude, and he had a sack in the playoffs. He is someone that you could bring in, and he's going to be better than anything, better than Jacob Martin, better than Jonathan Grenard. He could come in. He's gonna be the number 1 guy on your defense, the guy who's gonna get the quarterback, the guy who's gonna be dominant in the run game. He's okay at the running game. He's not that bad. But Yannick Ngakoue, a lot of people are not hiring him anymore. Could be a good find for you, for the Houston Texans and bring in here. And now you get someone who could go after the QB. We saw how amazing he was in Jacksonville, getting 12 sacks one season. And I just want to see how it ends up with Yannick. Number 5 is the last offensive person I have on the team, and that is guard Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney only allowed 2 sacks last year. Is the future of your offensive line. You put him on there in right guard. You have Laramie Tunsil, Max Sharpen, whoever you have at center, Joe Thuney, and Titus Howard. That is he turns your offensive line to top 5 offensive line. One of the best in the NFL, along with James Cameron coming in to coach his offensive line, who done well in Green Bay. Joe Thuney comes from the Patriot system. Nick Caserio was just there. Of course, Jack Easterby from that Patriot system. They have to be looking at Joe Thuney and deciding on if they should bring him in, because if he does this offense and offensive line as a whole becomes much more better. I love me some Joe Thuney, just an absolute beast. My co-host on the Space City Sportscast, the lead, Harley Dugan, said Joe Thuney is an absolute monster. If you could bring him in and solidify this offensive line, I'm gonna be happy. Deshaun's gonna be happy, and a lot of people will be happy because the offensive line also, showed flashes that they could be good and showed flashes that they just absolutely suck. I love to get him in, get rid of Zach Fulton and see what you could do, or you can move Zach Fulton to center, have Joe Thuney right there, right guard, and see how the offensive line plays out. But Joe Thuney could come in, man. He's just a mean. He's a dog. someone who could just put you into the ground. Deshaun Watson, that whole right side is your future with Joe Thuney and Titus Howard if they do bring him in. And at number four is Trey Henderson, the defensive end for the New Orleans Saints, who he only had almost 14 sacks last year, 12 tackles for loss, 25 QB hits. He was one of the surprises last year, and you have to have an asterisk around him. He might be a one-hit wonder because what he did last year, he never done anything close to that. He had 2 sacks, 3 sacks, 3 sacks, 3.5 sacks, and then he gets 13.5. Really came into his own. But if you really look at his tape, look at the way he gets the sacks. He's using pass rusher moves. He's getting his hands in there. He's ripping away. He's doing swim moves. He's chopping at the head. Trey Hendrickson could be a guy come in and woo, and now and I'm not gonna say he's gonna be J.J. Watt, but this dude looks like J.J. Watt. He's just an absolute freak. Um, Someone I think the Houston Texans will have to give a bag to. But if it solidifies your defensive line, I don't care. Like I don't know how you don't take it. Um, you get 13.5 sacks. How better does this team get with 13.5 sacks than last year? Number three, very high on my list, William Jackson, the corner of Cincinnati, 1 interception, 11 pass breakups, was targeted almost 70 times and allowed 36. Dude is an absolute baller, and he's from Houston. He played for the University of Houston, for the University of Houston down here. We have highly recruited him. The fans want him. I know his circle around him wants him. William Jackson comes in and fixes the secondary for this defense alongside with Roby and Conley and Lonnie. If you throw that foursome out there, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what the secondary could do with the William Jackson. He's gonna take the number one guy. He's not gonna shy away from him. He can play man to man. He can play in that Tampa 2 zone. That Lovie Smith runs. William Jackson is an absolute playmaker. Come home, Baba. Come home, and let's solidify this defense. Number three is someone I think the Houston Texans probably won't get. Hassan Reddick from the outside linebacker from the Arizona Cardinals, who will have to play an off-ball linebacker in this Lovie Smith system. 12.5 sacks on the season, 15 tackles for loss. All-out playmaker can do it all. He is versatile. I know a lot of Houston Texas fans do not love the word versatile, but what Hassan Reddick could do is change his defense as soon as he steps into Houston, and his defense becomes 32 and could take him all the way to 20, 25, maybe up there. I think we need to bring in a lot more people. Not a lot more people, but a couple more besides Hassan Reddick. But Hassan Reddick gets here, this defense might be dangerous. I'm just excited to see what we do in free agency, because I do think you're gonna have to keep Deshaun happy. And number one on my list, Romeo Okoro, the defensive end from the Detroit Lions. I have been on this guy. I think I have been the only guy who is hyped for Romeo Okoro. 10.5 sacks from the season. Those sacks are going to get to Anthony Costanzo, Taylor Lewan, Jake Matthews. 11 tackles for loss, 18 QB hits. The guy's an absolute athletic freak. Game record coming into his own last season with the Detroit Lions. Finished off the season with 3 straight sacks. Romeo Okoro changes his defense. I want him to be here. And the thing about this list, because I left a lot of players out, right? I left out Jadeveon Clowney, who I would love for the Houston Texans to bring in, Keanu Neal, some safety help that we need. But these guys on this list can help this Houston Texas defense, even help the offense. I'm not saying you have to get all these guys, but, I mean, if you get a Romeo Okoro and Jason Verrett, this defense changes. 1 or 2 players changes the defense, for the Houston Texans, and you lost almost 8 games by 7 or less points. Those 8 games you lost, those players would have made impacts in. And maybe I'm buying too high, but I do not think this Houston Texas team is far away from contending. All you got to do is just build this defense. Get a Jason Verrett and a Romeo Okoro. Get a Hassan Reddick and a Aldon Smith. Build this defense, and let's get this Super Bowl team. Let's make us a contenders, man. I'm tired of being talked about as a laughing stock for the NFL. Let's do it. Nick Casario, make a splash, bring the right people, and let's do it. Let me know what you guys think about this list. I'm gonna make another one, guys. As always, go Texans. You guys have a blessed day.